Greetings from the mountains of Colombia. As you can see, we're here in the Andes, about an hour from Bogota. And my name is J Weiskopf. The name of the series is Ayahuasca Express. Although we're going to deal with a lot of other subjects, that is the core of this series. And I have to admit, I was the worst possible visitor for them you can imagine. The first place, I wasn't indigenous. The second place, I wasn't Colombian, which, depending on the class and the attitude of the person, some Colombians became friendly with them. They trusted them. And worst of all, no, not worst of all, third, I was a gringo. And there's this terrible kind of envy and hatred of gringos that you see throughout Latin America. And fourth, my personality. I'm talkative, I'm intrusive, I'm indiscreet, I'm boastful, less so now, I hope. But, I tread on a lot of people's feet there. And the result of all this, without going into all the complications, is that anthropologists, the same anthropologists through whom my wife got to know the community and who indirectly led me there as well, did a dirty trick on me, denounced me to the community as someone who was endangering them or a spy. They had all this paranoia about the CIA or the DEA. If a government official landed in a helicopter there or launched with some gringos, welcome. They fell all over them because they thought, yeah, they're going to give us a grant, they're going to give us some money. But a lone hippie like me, it was a barrier, a mindset that was very, very ignorant. That, no, I'm a spy. I can't tell you how many times I was accused of working for the DEA. This is ridiculous. I was just a lone wolf, a disoriented, crazy poet, if you will, stuck in the middle of this maelstrom. But anyway, it wasn't possible to return to the community. Now at that time, nowadays, in Bogota, any weekend there might be 15 or 20 places where ayahuasca ayahuasca ceremony is being held by an indigenous shaman, or sometimes a mestizo one. Once in a while, a white guy who's learned well. But in those days, it was very, very scarce, and the same academics or the friends of the shamans, they didn't want outsiders. This was in the name of the purity of Yajé. They didn't want it to be corrupted, publicized. And in a way, they were right, seeing what has happened since. But what the hell? I wasn't, out to make money. I wasn't out to turn it into a business. I was writing about it because that is the privilege of the writer, to describe whatever experiences he has. And so I was very depressed. I didn't know what to do. I thought of giving up. At that time, once in a while, there was some academic events. There was a big conference in the University of the Andes that the same shaman came to. That's where I ran into Michael Tausig, who was the expert who wrote the classic book about Yajé and Putumayo 20 years before mine, and has since become a friend, anthropologist from Columbia University, where I studied. And a whole range of people who were drinking it, people who were writing about it, people who were making films about it. That was very exciting. But on the whole, it was very scarce, very hard to get access to at that time. And so I was depressed. And then, again by chance, I came into contact with another shaman. And that is the next chapter in the story. In other words, this mini segment about ayahuasca starts in the Putumayo, the lower Putumayo, that is the jungle part. And now it shifts to Bogota and the upper Putumayo, which is the mountainous part, which is very near the Pan-American Highway in the city of Pasto, which was a big city near the frontier with Ecuador. It's also a pioneer of the urban school, what I call the urban school. Now, I must mention something that a very important happening at that time, the new Constitution of 1991, which for the first time acknowledged the rights of the indigenous people to their own language, their own customs. It hasn't, whether it's been honored since, it's doubtful. But it was theoretically, it was after 500 years of oppression and treating them like outcasts and slaves, they were now recognized as, full-blown Colombian citizens with rights, autonomy over their communities and so forth. And one aspect of this, one result of this, was scholarships, university scholarships for indigenous students. Now this shaman had three sons, who benefited from these scholarships. They were studying at the public university, Universidad Nacional in Bogota. They were living downtown in a neighborhood called La Candelaria, which is a colonial neighborhood, very picturesque. It's still conserved, and it's a kind of center of culture in Bohemia. A lot of restaurants and bars, very attractive to tourists, a lot of tourist hostels if you ever go there. And they were living there. One has since become a very famous painter, abstract painter. Another also is an artist, but also an investigator of his culture. The third is more of a craftsman. And this shaman was from the Ingano ethnic group. Now the Inganos were the northernmost outpost of the Incas. Their language is a variante of Quechua. They live on the frontier with Ecuador.